How's it going, everyone? You're listening to Free Kick, the official AFLW fantasy podcast. As part of our club preview series, I'm here with Will to chat about St Kilda. Will, how's it going?
It is going very well. I'm excited to be talking St Kilda today. St Kilda are a really interesting team because when they played well last year, they looked really good. And they started the season really, really well as well. They won, I think it was 3 of their first 4. And then from there, they kind of fell off a cliff, which was quite unfortunate. They're a team they've got plenty of talent. They know that they're a team that can mix it with the best when they play their best footy. They just didn't do it anywhere near enough at times last year. And I think that mentality has really been reflected in how they went about their off-season, because they've picked up some significant ins. So they were very active in the trade period. They picked up inaugural number 1 pick Nikki Barr from GWS. Also, high draft picks Charlotte Bascarin and Amber Clark from Hawthorn and Essendon, respectively. And they also took a couple of interesting players in the draft, so Zoe Bisenko and Kyla Forbes. But the one that interests me is they picked up Alana G, who was a highish draft pick for the Gold Coast back in the day. Didn't quite get the opportunities due to form and injury. They picked her up late in the draft with pick 58, so that's quite an interesting suggestion as well. They've gone for a slightly more mature player. In terms of their outs, they've lost a bit of experience. Steph Chiocci, who was struggling with knee injury, has retired along with Ruck Simone Nelda. Grace Kelly requested a trade to play with her sister at Adelaide, and they've also delisted a few more experienced players as well. The main one being Nat Exon, which was a bit of a surprise. Quite an interesting player in their forward line. And unfortunately, former interviewee with Free Kick, Emily Fiedler, went down with a ACL injury during this preseason. So they're a bit thin in terms of their rucks at the moment.
Yes.
It's going to be super interesting to see how they shape up this year, because there's probably big expectations on them the way they've gone about making their list to improve this year.
Yeah, and to hear more about what we can expect from the Saints this coming season, Jono was very excited to have a chat with a season 2024 breakout defender, Serene Watson. Let's have a listen now.
All right, welcome to Serene Watson, vice captain now of the St Kilda Saints. We're very excited to have you on. How are you going?
Yeah, going really well. It's actually not raining today in Melbourne, which is nice. So hopefully we get a sunny day for training.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a difference in the last few weeks. Before we talk about, I suppose, St Kilda as a club, I have to ask you, because you had such an incredible 2024 season. I mean, not only just jumping into the Saints leadership group and all the responsibilities that come there, but I mean, you made the All-Australian squad. You were averaging like 17 disposals, 4 marks a game. It was truly incredible to watch. I mean, what was the secret behind your breakout performance?
I think it was it was a pretty crazy year. I didn't really know what was going to happen or how I was going to play or how the Saints were going to perform as a team. But I think the one thing that was consistent for the whole year was the coaches altogether, Dal and all of our line coaches had so much belief in me and in the system and in our program. So just going out each week and understanding that they trusted us and they wanted us to do our job really put belief in me and the team to be able to go out and perform each week.
Yeah, no, I love it. And you've now stepped into the role of vice captain of the club. I mean, how does that feel? Is that changing, your day to day? I mean, it must be a big step up in responsibility.
Yeah, for sure. It's a pretty cool thing. And I'm very privileged to be able to be in this position and have my peers respect me in this type of way. So I'm very honoured. But I think the main thing about leadership for me is always to stay authentic to myself. I want to show up how I've always shown up and want to still be able to give every single part of me to the football club and to each player and to each staff member. So just ensuring that I'm still showing up with who I am authentically and encouraging other people to do so as well. That's probably my biggest change.
Yeah, no, I love to see that. And if what the Instagram shows us is your true and authentic self, then it's got to be a fun club to be at. All right, so last year St Kilda climbed all the way to the top of the ladder early in the season. You look like you're on top, and then unfortunately things tumbled back down, and the Saints ended up missing out on finals again. I suppose, where do you see the Saints in the journey, towards reaching the ultimate flag?
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting year last year. Obviously we had some really good success early and then tend to drop off. So I think we've got a really strong list, and I think that's the importance of the club. We're very grateful that we have so much potential. We've got some unbelievable players on our list and so many hard workers, which is so good. So I think this year the girls are just super hungry to kind of fight for that top spot and really put in a really good year and try and win some games for the St Kilda Football Club. So everyone's really excited and really keen, really eager to play. So hopefully we can take some steps forward in moving, towards that.
Yeah, I think that the talent is so evident because it's not just last year that you had that early run, but the year before, I think you finished with 6 wins in the last 7 games. It's
Yeah.
really just developing these runs, this high performance. But has there been any discussions around developing any consistency across the whole season?
Yeah, I think you've completely nailed that. We just want consistency when we do play. And I think we've got the belief of the coaching staff and all of the staff in the Saints footy club. So I think that's the best part about it. But we just want to get that consistency on field. And hopefully, the more we play together, the more we can make that happen. I've only been here, this is my third season. So it's kind of hard to be able to build that consistency in such a short period of time. But that's definitely what we are aiming for. So hopefully, within the next few years, we can really have a strong list and a strong core group that can build consistency through the way they play and how we want to perform each week.
Yeah. I feel like consistency is such a big thing, and one of the big things that takes away from it, I suppose, is having players injured or off the park. And I feel like the Saints have had such a rough go of it in the last couple of seasons. I mean, I'm sitting here fingers crossed that everyone's still healthy this preseason.
Yeah, we're looking pretty good. Thank goodness, touch wood. But yeah, hopefully people can just get their rehab done and really focus on getting back on the park for the team. So we've got a pretty healthy list at the moment, which is exciting, and we're training really well. So it's a really exciting time to be a part of the St Kilda Football Club. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to some match sim and some practice matches coming up.
Yeah, no, it'll be exciting to see. The one thing that I don't mind when these rough times of injuries happen is that you do end up seeing a lot of the younger players get opportunities they might not otherwise have. So if we look at last year, I mean, both Charlotte Simpson and Kiara Wiley both had opportunities throughout the year as the two draftees. And then also players like Liv Vesely and Tiana Smith, who have been around a little bit longer, but still quite young, really got to cement themselves into that midfield. I mean, is it the sort of thing that you're trying to do actively as a club at the moment? Is just try and gift that exposure to players, or I mean, how do you see that?
I think it's super important to have depth at our club. And I think the one thing that we always strive on is being selfless and playing your role. So whether that be in round 7 and it's finally your time and you're coming in to play, making sure you understand your role and playing your role on that day. So we really put a lot of time and effort into our new draftees and some of our trades coming through, obviously learning a completely new game plan. So we just want to have the importance of depth within our list and ensuring that if something does happen and we need someone to step up, that they're ready to play at the AFW level. So it's pretty exciting to see some of our younger girls get opportunities and hopefully some more this year.
Yeah, it does seem like there's a lot of new faces to the club. One that I really can't wait to see is Nicola Barr, former number one pick, but I feel like she can play on pretty much every line. So I'm curious where you think she might end up playing this season.
Oh, your guess is as good as mine. She is so versatile, and such an amazing player to be able to have on our list. I think just her knowledge and her growth for younger players, and she just wants to give back to the club. So, someone like her is unbelievable, and she loves to run all day. So, gives Molly McDonald a run for her money, but they definitely have a little competition going for how far they can run each training session. But she is so versatile, and I'm really excited to see where she plays this year.
Yeah, no, it's great to hear. Having those good, strong runners is so important. And it was a shame that someone like Grace Kelly left the club at the end of last season to go play with her sister. But it seems like Nicola Barr is a great fit in there. And also some of the younger players that have come in, like Charlotte Baskren or Amber Clark. I mean, have they had much of a go with you this preseason?
Yeah, they're pretty exciting young talent. I think our trades and even our drafts this year, like Zoe Basenko and Kyla Forbes, we're really excited to see how they go. So yeah, anyone who has come into the club has impacted the club in a massive way. And I think the one thing that everyone wants to do is just give back to the club once they do get here because they realise that it's such a great place to be at and everyone absolutely loves coming in every single day. So I'm really excited to see what some of our new players do and where they play and how they're going to show up for the team. It's really exciting, and they're all such great people off the field as well, so have fit in perfectly with our group.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to hear. I'm a Hawks fan myself, I'm sorry to say. But Charlotte Baskeren was one of my favorites, so it's a shame to see her head off, but I'm sure she'll do great things for the Saints.
Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose some of those draftees that have come in as well. I mean, Zoe Basanko as a ruck forward is one that I'm a little curious about because with the retirement of Simone Nalda at the end of last season, and then very unfortunate ACL for Amelie Fielder, it's looking like a lot of the ruck load is going to fall on Renee Karras. So I'm wondering, is an opportunity for Zoe to play early on the cards, or is Renee really going to be kind of handling that ruck solo?
I think the good thing about selection is I don't have to do it, so I definitely leave that to the coaches. But someone like Zoe is so versatile as well, and I think the sky is the limit for her. She is an unbelievable talent, so tall, so agile, can use the footy, can take a good grab. Like she's just so versatile in the air and on the ground. So I think someone of her liking, she's only 18 years old, so young, so much to develop in such a short period of time, especially for this year. But I think she can really do some damage in the AFW system, and someone that probably flew under the radar a little bit. And I'm really excited to see what she can do this year.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited to see her. I think some of her highlights looked incredible. And she's probably got one of the greatest mentors you could have in the AFLW with Jesse Wardlaw playing a fairly similar position there. Is she also going to be running through that ruck lineup?
Oh, Jessie Wardlaw loves to just have a go at everything, to be honest. I think she might want to play fullback at this rate, just to try and get through all the lines. But nah, Jessie's been unbelievable this preseason, and I'm really excited to see what she can do this year. She's looking fitter than ever, stronger than ever. She's hard to play on, so I try to avoid that at all costs and let Paige Trudgeon do that job. But she is absolutely flying, and we love the way she goes about her footy and how creative she can get, especially if she's playing that ruck forward role as well.
Yeah, I'm curious what that balance is going to be just because I feel like so many teams are trying to clamp her down when she's in that forward line. She's obviously so impactful up there, but I guess when she's not there, it also completely changes the forward structure. How do you go about balancing those two things?
Yeah, I think it's pretty important to have balance, especially in the forward line. And as a defender, I'm not an expert with some forwards, so love to kind of leave that to them. But I think understanding the balance, and if Jessie is going to have a stint in the ruck, making sure we do have a tall target down there, but also making sure that our small forwards are ready to be on the go, knowing that the ball's probably going to skid along the ground a bit more, not probably not aiming for that big tall target. So yeah, we'll definitely have to figure out that balance. And we've got, obviously the likes of Zoe Bazanko and Lee Lu Hung, who has come down from Brisbane. So some pretty exciting tall targets that we do have. And hopefully they can have a quick rotation through there as well to kind of give Jessie a chop out.
Yeah, yeah. It's something that I've always wanted is the Saints are such a good defensive team. I think of every team that didn't make the eight last year, by far you guys were the best defensive team. And I've got to say, having to defend on Jesse Wardlaw in preseason every year, it's really got to prepare you well for that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think Paige Trudgeon and Jessie seem to have a little rivalry going, which is unbelievable for our training standards. But some training on someone like Jessie is so good. And also we've got the likes of Ash Richards and Janome Anderson, which I try and train on quite a bit. Just some really fast, zippy forwards that can also take a pack mark. They're very versatile. You have no idea what they're going to do. So we're really, really lucky to be able to have such a talented forward line and a talented back line to understand how we can make that rivalry play out and then get ready for the pace of AFW level when it comes to playing those teams in the top four that we want to strive to be.
Yeah, love to hear it. The one other player as well that it's not new to the club, but I suppose didn't get a chance to show off her talent last season is Georgia Patrikias, back from injury. How's it feeling with her on the park again?
She is flying. She has to be one of the most talented players I've ever seen play the game. But yeah, she is just working so hard and wants to play for her team. The way she uses the footy and just her footy IQ and how she brings people into the game is something that you can't teach. So I think having someone like her come back, especially after her injury last year, which was so upsetting to see for someone like her, but she's back in flying colours and dominating the training track. So really excited to see what she can do this year, and I think she's got a really big year in her. I continue to say that, but I'm really excited to see what she can do this year.
Yeah. What's I suppose as a footy club, there's always different conversations at the start of every season. What the big focus for this year is, and I'm curious what it's looking like for the Saints this 2025.
Yeah, and I know we touched on it a little bit before, but probably just consistency when we do go out and play. We just want to make sure that we know what we're doing, so staying really predictable to each other, but also challenging the opposition when we do play them. Yeah, I felt last year that sometimes we maybe folded back a little bit too much and allowed the opposition to kind of get momentum on top of us, but we want to come back and really try and throw the first punch, we like to say. So being really predictable to our teammates, but also being really fiery and exciting to watch. So it's going to be a good year, hopefully, and we can get a bit of flair with the likes of Jordan Patrikios back. I think bringing a bit of X factor through our midfield and our forward line will be pretty exciting.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see it. I think a full strength St Kilda could go a long way this season, so I'm very excited. We have one question we like to ask players, I suppose, just to wrap off, and it is a difficult question. And it is basically, who have you been most excited watching this preseason at St Kilda? Someone who looks like they are set for a massive season at 2025.
Yeah, that's a tough one because I feel like I could say so many people. One for me is probably Janome Anderson. She is probably the scariest person I've ever come up against on the training track. I try to avoid her at all costs because when she's going to tackle you, she just sees red. So I think her fiery defensive mindset in that forward line, but she will also pick up the ball and kick a goal. So someone like her, I just cannot wait to see what she does this year. She's looking fitter than ever. She's absolutely loving the club. And I think she's definitely an underrated player for me. I'm really excited to see what she can do this year.
No, I love to hear it. I think those defensive forwards are so scary at times, so it's great
So
to hear she's
scary.
flying. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us an insight into your world at St Kilda. We really appreciate it. Good luck to the Saints in 2025.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, wow, that was a good chat, and one of our most fantasy relevant chats we've had this preseason. I reckon. Like, what a great opportunity to get to interview Serene Watson.
Yeah, it's so fantastic to hear from her. Great player for us last year. Excited to see what she does this year.
Yeah, and particularly love to hear that the player to watch from Serene was Janome Anderson. So someone who I think we might have met her back at RSEA a couple of seasons ago, and I've just kept my eye on her since then. So someone I love watching keep getting better and better, and looking forward to watching her more this season. Well, let's hear who the top fantasy picks are, Will. Who have you got?
So, with my first pick, I have picked our interviewee, the new vice captain, Serene Watson. I kind of poo-pooed her as a pick in our Defenders episode. I sort of steered away from her a little bit, but she's still a fantastic pick. Going to be a really solid player. They've got a tough start to the year, the Saints, so probably going to start the year with a bit of a bang, which might mean she could be a player that you get, earn a bit of money when those scores maybe start to slide if their fixture gets a bit easier, can move her onwards, but otherwise has potential to be a bit of an undervalued premium option. Averaged just short of 70 last year, which puts her, I think she was the fourth or fifth highest averaging defender.
Yeah, fifth.
Fifth highest averaging defender, so another player that you could quite comfortably slot in your back line. Should average around that high 60s mark and be pretty happy with overall.
Yeah, I think she's a good pick for the consistency of the defender. She is fifth highest and quite a significant drop-off in terms of price and average from those other few. So she's someone that if you wanted a nice, reliable, kind of seeing more of the same potentially from last season, could be a good pick, and probably the biggest lock that we've got from St Kilda in terms of like very exciting fantasy players.
Yeah, and because of the way that they've sort of made their off-season, I've been talking about it a lot, but they've brought in so many players that could make instant impact that it's really hard to know which one's actually going to be the one to pick from a fantasy perspective. And the player I've put at number 2 isn't even one of their genuine ins for this year, in that she's actually just coming off an ACL injury. And that's Georgia Patrikios. Georgia Patrikios has been a fantasy tease for us for a long time, because she averaged 90 in her second season, looked like she was going to be a fantasy superstar for years to come, and has not passed an average of 70 since. And that talk with Serene Watson gave me hope that we might actually finally see her back in that midfield. because she spent a bit of time running around on the wing, playing a little bit off half forward even at times, which is fine. She's a skillful player. We know that she's good with her kicking and things like that, but we want her in the guts scoring us fantasy points. She's a bit awkwardly priced, it must be said. So you're looking at a bit of mid-price madness if you do go for her, but we're just begging. Surely one season she's going to get back to that 90 average and it's going to be fantastic. Will it be this year? Look, it's as good a chance as any, let's be honest.
Watch and wait.
But
I mean, priced at 53, she had 2 seasons of some like mid-high 60s there. So, I mean, even that's a decent bump if she can get back to that, let alone if she can get back to her kind of season 4 and 5, absolute, all-Australian heights that she had. So, I mean, I can't see her staying at 53. I think she's got upside. It's just, is she going to go up a little bit and like be value for, bottom level value for a mid-pricer plus 10, 15 points? Or is she going to go bang all the way? Probably not, but, it's there. And it's all about the teas with Patricios.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, her end to the 2023 season when she was playing a little bit off half forward kind of tells you why this is actually still a pretty good pick. Was she wasn't really playing that preferred midfield role, but from basically round 3 to the end of the season, didn't drop below 60. So 53 is clearly underpriced. We should be able to get at least 10 points worth of value out of her. I think it's just going to be interesting to see how she fits into the midfield / forward group, because there are so many new players to fit in. And one of those players is the player I put at number 3, and that's Nikki Barr. Nikki Barr has played pretty much everywhere in her career for the Giants, but comes across to St Kilda, and a St Kilda team that is crying out for more midfield support, and especially players that can run and carry the ball. And that's one of the things that Nikki Barr has always been really good at. Particularly did it across half-back for the Giants in the latter parts of her Giants career. Started last year really, really well with a massive score of 116, 70 the next week, and then unfortunately did the injury that put her out for the rest of the season. But I famously predicted at the start of last year that the Giants would have 4 midfielders who averaged over 80, and it was looking really good for a period of time there until that injury. I think Nikki Barr is a player that really could bring a lot to this St Kilda side. And with the little bit of discount that she does have because of that injury, she's only priced at she's priced at 67. I think there's 10 points of upside there. I think she's that good a player, but I think new club injury... I've been saying it about every St Kilda player at this stage, but there's clearly a risk involved with that, especially at that price. If you're not getting that 10 points and putting her up towards that 80 average, you're basically just paying for a 60s averaging midfielder, which isn't good in terms of your money or your scoring. So a bit of a tricky one.
I've got a question for you, Will.
Yep.
Sticking with the mid-price madness of St Kilda midfielders, someone else that can kind of get thrown into that mix is Liv Vesely, priced at 53.6.
Yes.
I mean, we know that she played with an injury last season and her prior years were about 68. So she also fits these criteria of like injury affected, coming back in, maybe 10 to 15 points. My real question for you though, Will, is knowing that Liv Vesely will hopefully be coming in fit, what banana is Nicola Barr?
Well, in terms of our banana ratings, I think the problem with St Kilda's banana ratings is that I think they'll rotate heavily, meaning that she could be anywhere from banana 3 to banana 6. And
you don't like banana 6.
And that's the problem, because the advantage of Nikki Barr, which also is a disadvantage for our fantasy perspective, is her versatility. She could fill in the role that's Grace Kelly's left on the wing. She could slot in on half-back to provide a bit of run and drive, or she can just play as a pure centre bounce midfielder, because we know how good T. Smith and Jamie Lambert are at extracting the ball, but they have got no one to pass it to. And so if she's the player that, those two get the handball out to her so she kicks it forward, that's fantastic. That's banana 3, fantastic role. That's where she's averaging 80. If she's sort of, bit of half forward, bit of half back, playing on the wing, bit of everywhere, that's when it's a worry. And it's going to be so interesting to see how the Bananas stack up in the preseason for St Kilda, because the way that midfield forms is going to be super interesting and super relevant to how those St Kilda midfielders actually are for our fantasy squads. Because for number 4, I've put T. Smith, who's basically the main constant in that St Kilda midfield. I could have put Jamie Lambert here, but Lambert's a bit more up and down, has some massive games where she kicks goals, things like that. But she's also the clear tag target, I think. Hopefully the re-emergence of Patricios, the addition of Nikki Barr, even a player like Charlotte Baskarin coming into that midfield group, gives her a bit of freedom. I just worry that potentially with the amount of players that are running through there, it mightn't help scoring. The reason I like T. Smith more is because her main role is to tackle.
Yeah.
And we love tackles.
Yeah.
She's a player that we know will always be putting the tackles on. So even if she's not playing as much through that midfield, I think she will play pretty much all through that midfield, but she very consistently has at least 6 or 7 tackles, pushed up to, I think, 13 was her best last year. I think she's a super player. We've had her on the podcast before, one of our favourites. Yep. Still so much upside as well. I think that she's the player, possibly even more so than Patricios, that they want to build that midfield around. I think she's the most likely to be the certainty in that midfield group. Lambert could play a bit more up forward, as we've said with Nikki Barr, very versatile. Yep. T. Smith is your number 1, get in there, get the ball midfielder.
I agree. And she's only priced at 80. I mean, there's a lot of headroom there for a tackle-heavy midfielder.
I think that T. Smith has potential to be a 90 averaging midfielder in her career. Whether it's this year with the way that midfield is going to shape up, it's a big risk to take, is probably my biggest concern.
I think she could be a good pick for your starting side because you probably need a midfielder at about that 80. And what I liked when I was looking at her scores last season is she had a massive game against Adelaide.
Yes.
2 points per minute was her record there, which is just absolute elite. And in that game, she had 17 kicks and 13 tackles. So that was her, record tackles for the season. Absolutely massive game against a tough team. Who are the Saints playing in round 1? Oh, it's Adelaide at home. So I'm thinking, if there's a time to be putting T. Smith in your side, it's against Adelaide. It's a home game. It's round 1. If she goes off with a bang and gets, more than 80, which we definitely know she can, she got 50 points of upside on that, she could be explosive. And then, you could cash that out right away if you wanted to. Yeah, she'll fit into certain points of the side really well.
And I think the other thing is, other than the final round against Brisbane, she didn't actually drop below a 60. So that's really nice, a really high floor per se. And I think as a young midfielder, It's probably not surprising that by the end of the year, St Kilda were looking a bit tired. Brisbane were, streaming towards another final series. St Kilda had lost several games in a row. I think, there's probably a bit of leniency there. So, I really don't mind it as a pick at all.
I actually love your final pick, though. Let's chat.
My final pick is one of my favorites. I love this pick. It's hurt me in the past, I will say, because I think I tried to do this in 2023 and it didn't work. But my number 5 pick is Jessie Wardlaw. Love Jessie Wardlaw. Fantastic player to watch. Was a fantastic player to talk to as well when we had her on with T. Smith. And the biggest thing with Jessie Wardlaw is the ruck forward role. She ended last year playing sort of a 50-50 split between the ruck and the forward line, and the scores jumped. And I'm not saying 10-ish points. Her final 2 rounds of the year, she scored a 90 and a 93.
Yeah.
And if you take her last 5 games, there's a 93, a 90, a 78, and a 74. And a 31.
Yeah.
Which is the only thing that, to me, is just dropping her slightly out of the interest. But a 65 averaging forward, so a little bit cheaper than those top line players, who has the potential to probably average about 80, which would put her as the highest averaging player, is super interesting. And St Kilda basically have no ruck depth.
Yeah.
It's going to be entirely on Renee Karras, given that Nelda has retired, and Emily Fiedler, who I think they were quite keen to take over that number one ruck role, has unfortunately done her ACL. So I think she's going to be playing a fair bit of midfield minutes, and they like getting the ball in her hands because she's quick, she's a good kick, and she's also really good around the ground. I see a lot of upside in Jessie Wardlaw.
Yeah, and it kind of has that Sabrina Frederick model where she's going to be on the ground, she's going to be needed at all times. So almost regardless of where she's playing, the ball is going to be aiming for her hands. She had 93% time on ground last season, and I can only see it going up because, like you said, that ruck position has, unfortunately for St Kilda, deteriorated further since last season. So, yeah, I think she's a really interesting pick. And, you know, alluding here, the host special will be Renee Karras. But between the two of these guys, like, Renee Karras, I don't think was their, first pick for Sol Ruck, and has more, will come in more developed than previous years. But there's going to be potential, there's going to be need and opportunity for Jessie Wardlaw to support there as well. So I think, I love that she's a forward as well. If she was a ruck, it would really limit the feasibility of putting her in your side. But a forward, perfect. Chuck her in. 7th highest averaging. You're saving some money there. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I think the Sabrina Frederick comparison is absolutely spot on. Karras, to me, it's a really interesting one because she's never averaged more than, 38, which at her price is not a huge jump. But having that first ruck roll, surely a 40-plus average is on the cards.
Yeah.
Because unless Wardlaw is going to be taking a huge amount of the rucks, the opportunity is just... There's just so much opportunity to be around the ball.
What I like about Karras is that she was the main ruck for, I think, 6 games or so last season, or rucking for 6 games. So there's a lot of potential that she can get from those hit-outs. But at 1 point each, there's only so much upside that brings you because she is not a tackler. Those regular... I don't have it in front of me right now, but regular games where she either wasn't tackling at all or getting very few tackles. And just using hit-outs as a way to boost your average, there's a ceiling on that. I can see she's priced at 32.7. Let's say she gets another 10 hit-outs a game, 42.7. Great. But I think she's a good bench ruck. Not bottom priced. She's definitely going to play. And then, cash gen option there.
Yeah, and I think the most awkward thing about that price is Renee Karras is priced at, as you said, 32.7, 424,000. If you go down by $8,000, you can get Havana Harris, who is arguably one of the most complete young players to come through the draft as your bench ruck. Which, if I'm picking between Harris and Karras, I'm probably going to go with Havana Harris. I think Havana Harris has got a higher ceiling.
Yeah. Look, but some people just want their rucks to get hit-outs, and if so, Renee Karras is the ruck for you.
Yeah. If your AFL fantasy strategy is hit-out heavy, Renee Karras is a player for you.
Yep, lock it in. Well, that's our St Kilda review. A few good players to watch, a few good players to lock. Looking forward to seeing what the Saints can bring this year with their massive number of ins coming back. Make sure to follow Free Kick wherever you get your podcasts. We have YouTube as well. And if you prefer to read, we've also got our St Kilda preview episode out on Substack now. So go give that one a read. Chat to you later.
Catch you, everyone.
Bye.